Cruise news time. Wow, the CDC makes a big change yesterday that's going to allow, a lot more unvaccinated passengers to cruise. Cruise news. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Lido, Loca. I'm your host, Tony, here with the latest cruise news updates. And today I'm coming to you from Hualtuco, Mexico. And this is a cool looking port. Never been here before. Here's a couple shots. You got a marina on one side, you got a beach on the other. And I have an excursion today at 1 p.m. 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. And they just made the announcement that everybody has to be back on board at 4:30 p.m. So I'm interested to see how tight my excursion runs. Hopefully I'm not a pier runner. But look, I just wanted to drop in here because there was big news coming out of the CDC yesterday regarding cruising and regarding vaccinated passengers and unvaccinated passengers. Let me set the stage, because sometimes it seems in the comments that not everybody understands the way the system works. The CDC is setting out the protocols and the guidelines that the cruise lines are following. The cruise lines voluntarily decided to follow the CDC guidelines, and so whatever guidelines the CDC sets, these are the guidelines that the cruise lines are following. So sometimes I see when something changes, it'll be like, oh, don't say anything because the CDC will find out about it. Well, look, the cruise lines are walking, lockstep with the CDC. The cruise lines reporting on a daily basis the amount of COVID cases on board. So if you hear about COVID cases on board and you're trying to keep it quiet so the CDC doesn't find out, well, the cruise lines are telling the CDC how many COVID cases are on board. So they're in a partnership. They're working together. And one of the things that came out when the rules came out for cruising, in the last iteration, is that there's certain guidelines, certain rules for cruise ships that are cruising at a highly vaccinated rate. And the way that highly vaccinated cruise ships were defined were cruise ships that were sailing with 95% of their passengers vaccinated and 95% of their crew members vaccinated. And this is for passengers that are 5 years old or older. And that left about a 5% wiggle room where you could have unvaccinated passengers, primarily kids, in that 5%. Now, another story that's crashing right into this story is during the earnings call for Royal Caribbean President Michael Bailey has been talking about how Royal Caribbean ships are starting to sail at 100%, that they've had a few sailings at 100% capacity, and that even the Oasis class of cruise ships, they've been sailing at 80% capacity. So why are these two things important together? Well, as capacity increases on cruise ships, the 5% becomes more significant. It becomes a greater amount of unvaccinated passengers that could cruise if the cruise lines decided that they wanted to open it up like that. And then the big change yesterday from the CDC is that now that number is dropping from 95% vaccinated passengers to only 90% vaccinated passengers to still be considered highly vaccinated. Now, the crew members, it still has to be at 95%. Let's just do some simple math. Say there's a cruise ship out there sailing at 100% capacity or whatever capacity, and their passengers on board equal 3,000. Well, under the old rule, that means 150 passengers could be unvaccinated, but under the new rule, that now means that 300 passengers could be unvaccinated. And so almost a doubling of the amount of unvaccinated passengers to be allowed on cruise ships. I know there's a lot of unvaccinated passengers out there kind of hoping that someday they will be able to cruise. And so stories like this become important because if you're looking at the signals, if you're looking at the signposts, trying to determine when more unvaccinated passengers can cruise, this is one of those things. Now, I want to quickly address a question that I get asked a lot in the comments. A lot of times people ask me, well, Tony, we know that you're vaccinated. We know that you're boosted. Why do you care or not care whether or not there are unvaccinated passengers on your cruise? What's the big deal? I'm going to answer that question, at least for me. But first, let me quickly invite you to subscribe. If you like staying up to date with everything that's going on in cruising, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out on any of these episodes. You can be part of the notification squad. Someday you might even be the hashtag squad leader. Squad leaders, are you out there? You know who you are. Have you gotten the hashtag squad leader? Subscribe button, the notification bell, and you'll just know when the show comes out. That's the whole thing. Doesn't cost anything. Thank you in advance. All right, as someone who is vaccinated and boosted, as someone who is up to date on my vaccinations, do I care if I have to cruise with unvaccinated passengers? No, I don't. I don't know who's vaccinated. I don't know who's not vaccinated. I do not care. The main reason that there is a vaccine mandate on cruising is probably twofold. The first one is the thinking that the people that are going to get severely ill from this virus are people that are unvaccinated. That is the assumption that the cruise lines are working with. Whether or not you agree with that or not, it's kind of irrelevant, because that's what they're working with. In their mind, in their decision-making process, they are following the idea that unvaccinated people are more likely to get severely ill and require a greater medical attention. The cruise lines can handle the asymptomatic, the not needing medical attention in a big way for a lot of people, and they're hedging their bet that that is the vaccinated people. Again, you can have that debate, but if you want to deal with the reality of the thing, that's where cruise lines are coming from. And then a second component to that is a lot of these ports of call that we go to, there is a vaccine requirement. And so what's the sense of a cruise line filling up a cruise ship with a bunch of unvaccinated people and then not be able to make port stops? People would be crying foul at that point. Oh, I got on a cruise and I couldn't get off because the port of call required vaccine. So again, for me, I'm vaccinated, unvaccinated. I've done what I feel like I need to do to take care of myself. I continue to do the things that I feel like I need to do to take care of myself. And I watch this all the time, and I have a good sense of what the virus is right now and what it's doing to people, and that's a decision I've made for myself. But if you're trying to understand it from the cruise line perspective, that's what it is. Less hassle, less challenges. The thing that's interesting, back to today's story, the cruise line's also taking their cue from the CDC. And so as the CDC begins to change its position on what highly vaccinated means for cruise ships, that allows the cruise lines a little more leeway to do things like allow more unvaccinated passengers on board. Boom, that is your cruise news here from Mexico. I would love to hear what you think about it. Sound off in the comments. Are you an avid, I don't want unvaccinated people? Do you care if you're cruising with unvaccinated people? If you're unvaccinated, do you understand the approach of the cruise line? Let's have that conversation below. Thank you so much for checking out the show today. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed it. I'm here in the Wheelhouse Bar, if you're wondering what this location is. The Wheelhouse Bar on the Island Princess. And look, you got to hit the like button, because if you don't, I will be forced to punish you. And the punishment's not very fun today. If you do not hit the like button, you're going to, think that because the skies are overcast, you can stand outside with no sunscreen. You're going to get a mild sunburn, and then 4 days later, you're going to have skin peeling off your face and off your ears, and it's going to be super awkward. You're going to be just sitting around, and skin's going to fall off of you, sunburn style. I hear that happens. Wear your sunscreen, everybody. Have some aloe. I had aloe, so that wasn't too bad, but wear your sunscreen, kids, and hit the like button. This is Tony with Lido, Loca. Until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido.